was helping him like know that I'm assuming this will be his court case, but I mean I would like to do a court case as well, but because for him to tell me that he was gonna arrest me, that was I told him he was a tyrant for that because he didn't warn me to leave or anything. Like I was giving him legal advice and he told me I'm a dickhead, I'm all this and that. He said that I made it difficult when I was just clearly expressing this man that he has rights and they were abusing his rights.
Yes.
Okay. So what is your name, sir? Could you both say your name and then spell them, please?
Okay, you need my legal name?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's Damon Salvatore, Damon uh, Salvator.
And your name, sir?
Chill. EFRE. Okay, I'm gonna just fuck. It's a hard
I'll
surname.
spell it
So
for him. It's Efreimanis.
yeah.
And how do you pronounce that?
Frame. It's in a different language basically.
Well,
Efraimanis.
Ephraimimus? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so if you would just start from the top, please, and go over it again.
Oh, okay, okay. So practically, this individual here was an innocent civilian parked at MRPD. I had told the officers that the suspect that tried to illegally um, handcuff or zip tie the officer was at the clothing store. Well, they parked in the middle of the road and saw this individual sitting in the car, and they ran up to him and pretty much like he'll tell you exactly what they said to him. What did they say to you?
So they basically said, "Could you please get out of the car? You look like the suspect that tried to rob, like not like
Zip tie.
kidnap an officer, attempt to kidnap an officer. You like matched the description of it." And then they asked me to remove my mask. I did. They asked me to step out of the car. I did. But when they asked about my like helmet, like not the helmet, but like hat,
Your
I
hat.
did not want to remove it because like it's cold outside.
And then pretty much like I walked away because, I had him on radio. So I told him, I said, hey, you don't legally, they have no grounds. So I said, what description do they have? And he told me that they claimed that he had the same shirt and the same like clothing. And he was not wearing the same shirt because I was actually there with the officer that almost got kidnapped, and he was not wearing anything of the such. The hair and the chain maybe, but the I mean that's all he had, and that's not enough to illegally make someone strip their clothing and their stuff. I don't believe that's legal.
Well, it's not in
So
public.
what was that?
Well, it's not in public. They're allowed to detain you if they think you are the. If they have reasonable suspicion of you being the suspect that caused the crime
But
or perpetrated the crime, they can detain you, bring it down, and then verify that you are or not the individual, and then
Well, one minute they
let the
said he
people.
wasn't detained, and then the next minute they said he's detained. Like when I said this, so I said, okay, so he's not detained at first, and they said, no, he's not detained. He willingly took his mask off. I said, so then we're free to go. They said, no, you're detained. And I said, okay, that makes no sense. You just said he wasn't detained, and now you're saying he's detained. So legally, they didn't even detain him.
Well, they can detain it, then undetain it, then redetain. And if it goes back and forth like that, it creates issues. I understand
And they
correct
claimed
in
that he
this.
matched the description due to a shirt, and they didn't even say the chains or the hair at first. They just told him the shirt. And then whenever started throwing legal advice to my friend here, then they said, "Oh, well, then the chain and the hair." They threw random shit out their mouth, and then they tried to tell me that I was gonna get charged, like they were gonna jail me for obstruction when they never warned me to leave,
Okay,
and I was simply giving him advice.
okay. So I wouldn't use the term, giving your friend legal advice because you're not a lawyer. You could be charged yourself for practicing law without a license. So if this happens again, I'm not trying to dismiss your claim here. I'm just saying, like, in future tense, if you're with a friend and you're trying to give them uh, advice for legal matters, just say that I'm just giving them advice, but don't use I'm giving him legal advice because that itself puts you in that that hole as well because you're not a lawyer. Then they
Okay.
could actually charge you for practicing law because you just admitted it without a bar license. So you're putting yourself in a hole.
Well, I mean, I practically expressed that I was trying to give him legal advice, like not like tell him like I know the law, but I'm saying it's pretty standard to know that you can't be, you know, legally searched like that. I mean, they didn't have any real descriptional evidence. The guy said he didn't even remember what shirt he was wearing or nothing. Like, how did they said that the only thing they had was at first, like I said, they said the shirt, and then when I told them that that's not the same shirt, they said, "Oh, okay, the hair and the chain." Like, for me personally, I mean, that's you're gonna go around. You know, hey, take your hat off for a second.
Yeah, one second.
Think of okay. Well, he had braids. You know the braids that everyone in the city
Just
typically has.
the ones that hang down, correct? Is that
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
And so you know how many individuals are in the city with that hair, and
A
they
lot.
went off that. They had no facial uh, description or anything. And then at the end of it, they said, "Oh, okay. Well, my partner, cannot say that you're the one who identified us, the individual. So you're free to go."
Okay. So if I understand that correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, he was the gentleman here was minding his own business. The police officer came up to him. He said, I believe you're the suspect that we're looking for.
Correct.
Would you take your
Yes.
mask, your shirt off, your clothes off for me so I can verify that you are or not the suspect, the alleged suspect, right?
Yeah.
And then from that point, you, sir, you said you don't have to do that. Is that correct?
Over the radio, yeah.
Okay, so you said you don't have to do that. Uh, why is that? Why? What was the reasoning as to why you said you don't have to do that again?
Well, I told him I didn't specifically say it like that. I just told the individual. I said if or what are the description that they're giving you? He said they didn't have. They told him a shirt. I said that's bullshit because you weren't wearing the same shirt as that individual.
Okay,
I
so
said that's not.
legally they don't have to tell you the reason as to why they're searching you.
But if they did, and they told us blatantly that it was a shirt as a description,
But
then that's on them.
but for example, if somebody gives me a description, somebody wearing a black shirt, gray hats, white shoes, brown pants, right? And if I just come up to you saying, "Hey, you're wearing brown pants," can you do something for me so I can verify that you're not this individual I'm looking for? I don't have to give you the full description of that individual because that would give you more information than needed at that time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to tell you everything, the full description of that individual. If you're wearing brown pants, I have a description of brown pants. You don't match perhaps the rest of it. Maybe instead of what did I say, gray shoes, whatever it was. Maybe it's dark gray shoes, or maybe it's black shoes. Perhaps it was the sunlight was different for the individual that gave the description. So perhaps it wasn't gray shoes; it was black shoes instead. So the officer doesn't have to give all the information that he has to the person that being detained. I knew that was coming. I actually did that, but he doesn't have to give the full description because that opens up his hands. He doesn't want to give away all of his cards in case it's not him and he's friends with the individual, right? He doesn't want
Okay,
him
but
to go change his
as a
clothes.
civilian sitting in a car, like what legal grounds? I mean, how can you? They were driving past and they immediately just like I said, they were driving past to the clothing store where I told them I seen the suspect changing clothes,
Mm-hmm.
and they instead didn't pursue that what's the police report that I made for them and told them I don't know if that's a report or just a tip, but I told them and they immediately stopped in the middle of the road at MRPD and they ran to this guy and demanded him to get out the car and take his stuff off. I don't see how that's legal in any way. Like he was just minding his own business, sitting in a car. You couldn't even see half of his clothing. All you see is the head, and maybe like that's practically it, and a hat. You're telling me they can see his hair with the hat on? That doesn't make any sense.
So you gave the report that somebody was changing clothes inside the clothing store where this gentleman was at.
Correct.
So he was sitting
Correct.
outside of the clothing store, and you gave the report that.
No, negative.
No, no, no.
So
He
where
was
was
I was
this?
in
okay, he
PD.
was MRPD in the parking lot, sitting in the car with a hat on and a mask, and you're telling me they got a description of him? That doesn't make any sense.
So that was downstream from the clothing store, right? It was right down the street.
Yes, I told them it was the clothing store on. Let me look at my GPS here.
It's the one right down
It
the
was
street from the MRPD, right?
it was Center Street Clothing. We were at MRPD, and he was. I went to the gate where the police are, and I made the report. And they hopped in their cars, and they were going to fly off to the clothing store. Well, they stopped in the middle of the road and went to this individual who had a mask on, who had a hat on. So there's no way in hell you have a description of an individual that's wearing a mask and a hat, and
So
you can't see his full body clothing. So that's clearly false. There's no way in hell you can identify someone wearing a hat and a mask and a shirt.
so
And that
so this is I can see their argument being that you saw an anonymous source said that the individual that we're searching for changed their clothes. The new clothes is unknown, and we saw an individual sitting in front of the MRPD, which is just down the street from the clothing store, sitting inside a car. And just to verify that this individual is not the one that we're looking for, we simply asked him to step out and then verify himself to make sure that he's not the individual that we're looking for, since it was downstream from the clothing store, which is reasonable distance from the time of the call to where he was sitting inside the car.
Well, no, it wasn't a call. I was right there. I told him it just happened just now.
Okay.
And when I ran up to them, he was actually with me. They saw me come in with this individual here. And like I said, we've been sitting there way before I made that report. Like, and I told them, like, I jumped out the car and I told him I'll be right back. And I told him, I said, I'm gonna go make their police report. And I ran over there. The police saw me. And 1 second, someone's at my door. One second.
Okay.
Why am I aggro? How do I stop it?
What are you asking?
How do I stop being aggro like this?
Well, somebody else had the same issue.
I'm just
The right and left click. Maybe that's it, because something's triggering your action. Something's triggering that action.
Give me a sec.
So maybe escape, perhaps. ESC. Do your escape muscle.
Okay. Oh,
No.
bro, I gotta hit you. Sorry.
Hey, pull up your phone. Do M. Do your M muscle. Maybe that's it. Because something's triggering that action.
I pressed something. No, I don't know. Wait.
All right, I'm somewhat back.
Okay.
Okay, I fixed it.
All right, where were we at?
You were talking about you didn't make a phone call. You told the police officer directly that there was that somebody
Yes.
ran into the clothing store to change the clothes from the incident that happened prior to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. So he came up with me in the car, and like I said, I went to go make their police report that I saw the individual at the store, and instead of going to the store, they immediately just ran to my car, and I tried to question this man who they had no reason to question him because I just showed up. Why would I bring? Like I said, I made the report, so it doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so through the perspective of the officer, I'm going to be the devil advocate here, right? A devil advocate. You made a report. I'm an officer. I'm not aware of who made the report. You're just another guy on the street. Because I don't know you. I don't know who made the report. You're just another guy in the street. I come over. All I know is that there's somebody inside the clothing store changing their clothes from a prior incident, right? They're changing their clothes to get out of the make a disguise, so I can't identify them. I pull up. I see somebody sitting in the car with a mask on, right? I don't think you're supposed to wear a mask in public. I'm pretty sure it's an actual law. I believe it is. You
But I
can't.
think it's COVID.
Well, the type of mask is different.
He's going to a hockey game.
Well, so you still can't wear a mask in public unless it's a COVID oriented type mask like
Well,
the
if
N95.
if we're in our vehicle though, then you should be allowed to wear a mask.
Well, that I would agree with that, but I can understand how the officer would say, I saw a guy in a vehicle with a mask. He's trying to disguise his identity. I just wanted to verify that.
So do we have any legal grounds here? I mean, you are our lawyer, or we're trying to hire you as our lawyer. Surely there's something. Like you say that these officers may say this, may say that, but at the end of the day, they more than likely they're not going to say all the things that you're educated and you went to college for, you know.
Their lawyers would though.
So,
Their lawyers would though. This
well,
would
then that's where you can find, that's what your job is, to find maybe some way to like figure out how to make this stand in court, right?
unless there's nothing
Because
to stand
surely
on.
there's some ground. I
Unle-
mean, they literally told me and told him that he was not detained, and then next you know they said he was detained, and then also they tried to immediately tell me that I was going to get jailed for obstruction, which me personally, I don't think that should be legal. You know,
Yeah.
that's like, especially with no warnings at all. Like they just literally just told me that I was going to get
Do you happen to have body cam for
obstruction.
this? Do you have body cam?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I'm gonna create. Could you go into? Yeah, I saw that coming again. Could you go into the law emails and
Yeah.
open up a? Go into requested trial.
What?
You're gonna see a ticket. Open that ticket and then say.
Okay, 1 second. Let me look. Oh, another thing that may be something useful. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So I witnessed a kidnapping right there in front of the MRPD, and the officers pulled up and they saw it too, the individual running. I told them, I said, "Hey, officers, there's a man being kidnapped." They completely ignored that really important crime there, and instead went to go question this individual. I just
Yeah,
not
like
looked at my body cam and saw that part. I forgot about that part. But that should be a big issue in the PD department. Like, how are you not prioritizing a kidnapped person?
Yes. That's I don't know if that's involved in this case though. See, your gripe is that. So if I understand, your gripe is that the officer stopped, asked him to identify himself by removing clothing, even though he was simply sitting in his car.
Okay, I watched the body cam footage back. He ran to the car because he was chasing the individuals. What were you doing with those people that kidnapped that individual?
oh, we're just talking with them.
Okay. Well, he went back to the car. I just watched back on the footage and got back in the car and sat in the passenger seat. And then I'm about to watch the rest. I'm gonna send it to you, but I think I have to upload it to YouTube.
Okay.
Let me see.